say, Kelly, about if you're doing well and you're winning 2-0, why would you change? I get that. You wouldn't change if things were going well. But it wasn't going that well in the first half. They were 2-0 up, but the amount of times a Chelsea player picked that ball up in space in midfield and was running at the defence, you felt the game was going that way. And that's what I'm saying. When you can see Chelsea, Levy, how many times did Levy play one round the corner? And you just like a little, as an experience, but it's not going on the edge of your own box. It might be a little, OK, just let's go 10 yards deeper. Let's just take this thing out of this. We don't need to be creating chances. We need to stop Chelsea creating chances with 2-0 up. That's what I'm talking about. What you're saying there, Jamie, I agree with you. I was thinking about this. You know, they've changed so many managers, and we talk about Daniel Levy a lot. What Daniel Levy's done here in terms of the training ground and this, for me, I don't think there's a better stadium in the world. I haven't been to Real Madrid's new one, but this, I think, is as good as anything in the world. And that's been Daniel Levy's strength in terms of a really stable football club. The stadium he's delivered the training ground. It's probably some time for somebody else to come in, because to not win a trophy in that period of time with the managers they've had, they've never really gone out of the way in the transfer market. They spent decent money without, you know, blowing other teams out the water. The wage bill's always one of the smallest, and you're never going to get the best players. So it might be a time for actually a Daniel Levy, who I've been a supporter of because you look at the actual work that he's done. But now that work's done in terms of a stadium and a training ground, someone else needs to be in charge of this football club.
He's had 14 managers in 23 years. That's nearly a manager every year and a half. So that's something has to change.
He's not making the right decision if he's changing managers that
that's
often.
What I'm saying, and it's never him.
This team, and with the front three, if it's going to be Johnson, Son, and Solanke up front, every time they go 2-0 up, they should never lose that lead. Never. Not with that front three, because if you sit back and you count, they've got the perfect counter-attacking team. You play it into Solanke, he was holding it up for fun, he was causing problems. You know, teams have got to take a chance. And when you've got the pace of Son and Johnson, I mean, they should, any time they go 2-0 up, you should be the worst team to play against in the league. You should be sitting there thinking, this is game over, really. This is game over, because when we start taking a chance, they're going to pick us off for fun with their pace, like they did against Man City at times. But it didn't happen. They just go. It's like playing at Power League or goals. It's just like that. It's end to end. It's like basketball.
Can you legislate for the two decisions that led to the penalties? Is there anything a manager can do about that?
No, he can't. But he buys the players. You know,
I'm not sure he does.
brings them.
Or he didn't. I don't think he bought Bissouma. He didn't buy Bissouma or Son.
All right, but they're playing. They're playing.
Yeah.
They're playing. So he trusts them. They play. Then you've got to rely. They're playing in the best league in the world. This is the best league in the world. Everybody loves it. You've got to be a top player to play in the Premier League, they say. So do top things. You know what Sarr's doing? I wouldn't expect my boy to do it. He's 9. I'd sit there if my boy was doing that. I'd sit there and think, how could you ever be a footballer if you're doing that and you're 9? And, you know, they're playing in the top league. You know, something's going on. I don't know what it is, but when you're getting coached, they've got to be coached still, these players. You know, you can't just go, oh, they're Premier League players, so go on then, go and play. You've got to get people's discipline. You've got to tell them where to go. Honestly, I was watching today. I'm 56. I could have probably played sometimes in that game where Lavia was playing. He was coming in, I was just flicking around the corner. And Palmer's there, and Enzo Fernandez is there, and no one's near him. They're within 20 yards of space, and they're the two players the most danger. Lavia's not the danger. Even though he's a good player, he's 60 yards away from the goal. Them two are the dangers. Why? Why is that not happening?
But when you talk about things players do, you can't legislate for crazy challenges like that. Like, you're right, Mace. But Romero gets injured. Whether that he got the injury, he's doing a Cruyff turn in his box.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, if your manager is onto you on a daily basis, that's not acceptable. You don't do that. Son, on the edge of his own box just before half-time, trying to play a little too... These things that players do, I think Porro did something similar on the edge of... These are things that the manager asks for or looks for, because you wouldn't do it. We don't see other teams do it to the extent that Tottenham do it at times. So that's when I go back to that. But I just want to go back to Daniel Levy, because when you look at, say, Man United, City and Chelsea, really, in terms of what they spend, it's difficult for Spurs to compete with that. Liverpool have probably done it in a clever way, but I go back to Arsenal. Now, we associate Arsenal with winning titles in the past with Arsene Wenger, but they've gone a long time right now. For the last 5-6 years, Tottenham and Arsenal have always been in a fight for the top 4 positions. Arsenal have jumped to a team challenging for the title for this season, the 3rd season running. But we almost expect that because it's Arsenal. How did they do that if they were competing with Spurs for so long? But we always expect that of Arsenal. Nobody in this country ever expects Spurs to challenge for the title.
Yeah.
Because we think it's a mentality thing. And that's why I go back to the top of the club. How can Arsenal have done it without going crazy, spending-wise, and Tottenham couldn't have done it when they were competing for so long? That to me...
You mentioned the stadium. Can they compete in the transfer market if they're also building a stadium and renovating rebuilding the training
in a different
ground?
way, Kelly. I think that's what they want to do. Like, even in the summer, I think the manager's probably thinking to himself, I need a bit of help here in the transfer window. Yeah, I'll get Solanke, that's fine. But then he brings a lot of young players in that, yeah, they might be good for the future. But when you're a manager and you know this is a chairman that gives you a year and a half on average, you need players for now. And that's the difference. And when you talk about the difference between Arsenal and Tottenham, so the big example, or the most important example I would give you is Arsenal went out and they got Declan Rice. We need that player in our midfield to give us something. Would Spurs do that? I cannot remember the last time Spurs bought a ready-made star.
Well,
I can't.
They spent 134 million in the summer, but would you say that they spent it particularly
I think so. I like Solanke. I do, and I think he's going to improve. But as a manager, what you need, how do we make that jump into the top four? Is you need good characters. You might need a little bit of experience. You don't necessarily want young players that are going to... You need them for now. You've got to go and get top four. You're on borrowed time. He was under a little bit of pressure last year as the manager. So this year, give me a couple of players that I need. I can't think off the top of my head, probably the biggest player they bought for a while was Ndombele, maybe 60-odd million pounds, but that was still a bit of a risk. There's not been too many, and I think that's been a difference between Arsenal and Tottenham, where they've gone, right, we need Declan Rice. Doesn't matter what it cost us, we're going to bring him into this building and make us a better team. And that's why Arsenal have made a jump and Tottenham have gone the other way.
But every other big team, I know we class it as the top six. I know some people don't like that. But the other 5 teams, we always associate them and expect them to win. And eventually, they'll find a way to win. Tottenham finds a way to lose. You never believe for any second that they're going to win a trophy or they're going to win a big game or they're going to get across the line. Even if Liverpool are having a bad few years, they'll come back. United have had a torrid time the last few years, but they still win the cup final last year and the year before. And that's not, for me, it's just about Erik ten Hag. That's about a DNA, a mentality, a club, a belief that they can win big games. You never, ever get that feeling that Tottenham will do anything.
16 years since Tottenham have won a trophy. Could they win the Carabao Cup this year, for example?
People see, there's obviously a debate with Tottenham fans. There's either top 4 or win a trophy. For right now, Tottenham need to win a trophy.
Can't they do both?
Yeah, they
Merce
can.
thinks they can win the Carabao Cup.
Yes, they can. I'm not saying they can't. Of course, that is more important than anything else. They have to win a trophy because that's the stick that they always get beaten with. If they win a trophy this year, then that gives them the confidence and the belief that then, yes, if they can get top 4. But they need to change the history of this club because for too long they have, like Jamie said, they've had that attitude about them where they've just not been successful. You always feel like they're going to let you down. Whereas if they go and win a trophy this year, it will just give Ange a bit of confidence, it'll give them a bit of breathing space, and then possibly you could get top 4. They've got Man United here, it's at quarterfinals. Of course they can win it. It's not going to be easy because people might say that's not a big trophy to win. If you look at the winners over the last 10, 15 years, it's either been Man City, Liverpool or Manchester United. I think Swansea were the last team that we're probably surprised by to win it. But I just feel right now that is more important than getting top 4. The owners here might not want it as much, but it's definitely better for the fan base and the club and for the players for sure.